So one of the challenges we all face as physicians is setting boundaries. We don't have 9 to 5 jobs. Our brains we're problem solvers. We're working mentally all the time. But how have you found your ability to manage a career, a life? Have there been any specific moments where you said, okay, this is getting out of control, I've got to set limits now? How did you go about that?
Well, the main thing that happened, well, if you want, it is early in my job in Springfield. We had a multi-specialty group in the 2-man practice, my partner and I, and we shared a call with another group. So I was on call every other day during the week and every 4th weekend. The day my daughter was born in 1990, December, my partner got called up to Desert Storm. He had his papers. And so he was gone. Boom. And so I ran a 2-man practice and basically didn't see my daughter for 6 months. And it got progressively worse because I went from that, they gave me, so I was sharing call with 2 other guys. So I went from every 3rd weekend, or every 4th to every 3rd weekend. And I had 1 day off, which they half a day off, which in the middle of the week. What happened then was one of the other guys ruptured his spleen in a sledding accident. And so now it was every other weekend call, no days off, and it was a mess. I made a ton of money, but I was seeing 50, 60 patients a day and just exhausted. So after 6 months, my partner comes back. At that time, the group was you had an afternoon off a week or a half day off, which meant you left the office at 2 or 3 o'clock rather than whatever. So I said at that time, guys, I'm taking a whole day off. I'm done with this. And they said, nobody does that. And I said, watch me, I'm done. This is it. And so Thursdays became my day off. And so I spent time with my daughter, started doing hobbies on Thursdays. And, I was the only dad in the kiddie gymnastics group with all the moms, and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's when it was just too much. This was it.
I'll bet it felt pretty good being there with the kids and the moms too.
Oh yeah.
Must have been like a breath of fresh air.
Oh yeah, doing a little sing-songy things. But the teacher was a guy too, is Daryl, of course, in the Ozarks. But he was great, and we had a fun time. And my daughter and I, until she started kindergarten, we had our day, pretty much day together.
It's interesting. I don't know if this is something you've even realized or thought, but our earlier part of our conversation, we're talking about that uprooting and being pulled away from your friends and your pals and all that stuff growing up with. It's almost like now you have the adult version of it happening. Here you are in your career, and you almost feel yourself being pulled away from your little daughter now. And it was almost like, I don't know if that past experience triggered something. You said, no, I'm not going to stand for this. And maybe that kind of was the final straw, or kind of trigger, lit the spark or something.
That's kind of where, that's kind of where my questions are too. Thank you, Joel, for sharing that story, and bravo, kudos to you for making those choices. But I'm curious, what is it, do you think, that maybe triggered that drawing a line in the sand, which is, it was a bold statement to do that, and to do so within your practice. Where did that come from within inside you? because so many physicians, they may wish to do that, but they don't do it. There's a guilt. There's this concern. I'm not doing what I need to do in the team. So it's really remarkable what the decision that you made. So I'm kind of curious, where did that come from? Maybe you have some insight for us.
I think it was exhaustion.
What I'm taking, it almost sounded like it wasn't, maybe it was a conscious decision, but it sounds like it was really driven by this really gut wrenching type emotion that was bubbling up again. And it's like, no, I'm not standing for this. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, a lot of it was exhaustion. And then, my wife, now we had 3 kids. We had the first 2 during residency. So I wasn't there as much for those guys. And so, this was just like, there was also some other stuff in between. We lost one in between number 2 and number 3. So the third one, she was kind of special.
I guess, that's, first of all, I'm very sorry that you had to endure that too. As parents, nobody should ever have to outlive a child. It's just, but I think what the message that I'm getting from all this so far today is, the importance of setting those boundaries and maintaining, it sounds cliched, trying to achieve that balance. It's so easy for us to get sucked up into the moment of being that professional, the person that we've been training to be our whole, from the time we're really from kids. Again, we talk about this where we're identified maybe earlier in our lives as being, in the gifted groups, and everything is pushed and our focus is on us all the time. So as we get into med school or as we get into a career, we're still focused. We're very myopic. Maybe we take time out to find a spouse, but then we're right back with the same kind of habits that we developed along the way, which are not necessarily conducive to interpersonal skills. And so to take a step back and say, no, I need that family time. I need my hobbies. I need these other things. This is such an important part of it. And trying to get this message to other physicians who are out there who might be watching this and listening. This is very, very important. When you get caught up in that vortex, the black hole of practice, and all of a sudden a career and a life has gone by in the blink of an eye, and then you say, okay, where am I now? Yeah. It's a rude awakening.
Thank you so much for joining our discussion today. If you'd like to learn more about our guest, head on over to our Patreon page where you can access exclusive content, including the full segment of our show. Never want to miss an Inside the Doctor's Lounge clip? Be sure to click the subscribe button to our MD Coaches YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate suggestions for future show topics, so let us know what you're thinking in the comments below. And finally, special thanks to Ryan Jones, who created and performs our theme music for the show.